Hey guys, welcome to Nerdville. This is chapter 1084 of One Piece. I'm Fanfi.
And I'm Turtles. Today there's no cover page actually, it's just a little bit of fan art.
Are you serious?
For everybody to enjoy with all the beautiful women in the One Piece universe. So we're gonna start by doing like a small recap of the chapter, and then we'll follow up with like our analysis and the key and major points of this chapter this week.
So we start off this chapter with the continuation of what was happening with Sabo. We see him fight a couple of knights of Marie-Joie and meet up with Bonnie, who is here for the same reason they are, to save her dad. We see Sabo meet up with Karasu and hand him the keys that they are going to use to save the other slaves that are captured by the Celestial Dragons. We see some knights arrive trying to find Sabo, but he escaped with Bonnie. We see them talk about something that they think they're looking for, which is the Lost Chamber, which is something that no one should mention, apparently. And Sabo seems interested in that, so we'll probably see more about this later on.
Alright, so the next part of the chapter focuses on Cobra's meeting with the five elders. It gives us a brief history of how the world government was founded 800 years ago.
This is not new information. It's just not commonly implemented information.
With 20 different monarchs coming together to become celestial dragons, and he refers to the throne staying empty with 20 swords around it, showing that they're all equals in this endeavor. But he does also mention that the Alabasta queen at the time decided not to join the celestial dragon and to return to her country, but as he was searching for that history, he realized that she never made it back, so her brother took over as ruler. As he asked those questions, the elders kind of want to shrug him off and don't want to answer his questions, and he says, well, if you can't answer any of those questions, what is the meaning of D?
What?
That angers them even more. They ask him, why do you ask? And he says, well, the truth is he has a short letter that was passed down from generation to generation that we assume has some kind of mention of D in it.
Alright, so here we see a continuation of what was happening with St. Charlos that Turtles mentioned last week, where Shirahoshi is being captured by Kuma, of all people. We see his disgusting side, where St. Charlos tells her that he's going to do whatever he wants with her, and, all of the people who were crushing on Shirahoshi earlier were angered. But, he's a celestial dragon, so what are they going to do? And obviously her brother tries to come to the rescue, but they're immediately not overpowered, but, shrugged aside by Kuma. This angers the prince even more. In turn, it angers St. Charlos, who tells Kuma to kill them all. And then we see Sai, who is with St. Mjosgard, who we haven't seen since he struck St. Charlos to save Shirahoshi last time. St. Mjosgard goes in between the prince and St. Charlos because he doesn't want Fishman Island to be involved in this affair, because the pirates are here. There's Leo and there's Sai who can engage with them because they're not affiliated with any nation. So after we see a pretty cool combo attack between Leo and Sai, tail hammer, dragon nail, pretty cool shot. St. Charlos, I mean, he's pretty tanky after all. Like, he's it's an alleged assassination, so we're assuming he's not dead. And so obviously the surrounding celestial dragons and royals are shocked and know that the attempted murder of a celestial dragon will bring the admirals down on them. And then Morley intervenes to rescue Kuma, which we know is their goal, and that they succeeded later on.
Oda, as per usual, ends the chapter on a little bit of a cliffhanger.
You're teasing me! Naughty, naughty!
We have a couple of snapshot of Cobra meeting for the first time the Great Emu. We see the shock on his face when Imu sits down on the throne, when we know that that throne should remain empty. So now we're going to go into a little bit of more of our thoughts about the chapter this week, and all the important information that we gathered today, because there's like a lot actually today that we got. I don't know about you, Fanfi, but it's been pretty insane the past couple of chapters, and this one is full of information.
Yeah, especially as we said last week, the truth about that day, like we didn't get it. Well, now we're getting a bit more of it, obviously, and it's all pretty fascinating, I have to say.
Well,
do you want to start with the Cobra part?
I think honestly we should start with Sabo, because they did mention last week about their mission being successful, but it's nice for us to see how they achieved that. We get a better understanding of what Sabo is about, right? As a leader, he's always on the hunt for something, but he cares for people. Especially
Yeah,
like
he seems very heroic in this chapter.
exactly. I mean, he didn't have to help Bonnie at all, but he
No.
understands they're on the same side and they have the same mission, and you see the trust in her, like of the Revolutionary Army because she basically tells them like, "You got this. I'm gonna go do my next thing," right?
Yeah, they're fighting the celestial dragon scumbags. So yeah, naturally she thinks that they're good people.
Well,
And like
also her dad was part
her
of it.
dad, yeah. Exactly.
All right. So, what do you think of the Lost Chamber? What could it be? I have like no clue.
So I don't know, man, but like it seemed to interest Sabo, and maybe this is what he was looking for because he did say to Karasu that he had something else to do. So maybe this is what he was looking for, and the people talking about it, this is his confirmation.
I mean, it could be like, a secret library where you have all the history of the world, everything that was hidden.
Yeah, it could also be we saw at one point in chapter 906 of One Piece where Doflamingo is in prison and he says that he knows the secret of Mary Joie and that's why he thinks people are going to come and assassinate him. And not only that, later on we see Imu holding Luffy's wanted poster and someone else we can't see exactly entering a hidden chamber, lost chamber perhaps, where he or she sees a straw hat that is frozen. So maybe that has something to do with it as well.
That is true. I didn't even think about that. That could be that chamber as well.
Mm-hmm. It's possible. I mean, we also see her hang out in this flower garden. I don't think that's what it means, but maybe the Lost Chamber has something to do with the lost history in the Void Century. Could be possible too, like
I mean, that would make the most sense to me. That's
a
where
chamber of poneglyphs, Yeah.
That'd be crazy. The original poneglyphs.
Yeah, man. So after we continue with, I think the most important part is what's happening with Cobra right now.
I mean, that was crazy.
It was so gutsy of him to like, not. It wasn't just the D thing. It was questioning them about the world history and stuff. I know he's a royal, but are they allowed to do that? I don't even know.
I mean, technically, he should be allowed. Yeah. He's a celestial dragon. He's one of the original 20 nations.
Well, no, because he didn't join. You know what I mean?
Well, I think honestly, he dies the moment he sees Imu. I think the moment Imu shows presence to him, like it's over. Yeah. I think it's the type of thing. It's like you get to meet them, but you don't get to tell the tale of meeting them. That's kind of like.
And Cobra is an honorable man, and with principles, he wouldn't not share the info if he was left to his devices.
Exactly. I mean, the 20 sword story is very interesting to me, especially when they mentioned there's only 19. Because I'm thinking of two things in that situation. One of the two things is that because his family didn't decide to join, they didn't put a sword down, right? Because they wouldn't be part of those equals, right? As we mentioned. Mm-hmm. But another part for me is, what if one of the families that did ascend took their sword out, and that's Imu's family, and that's how they took over the throne? And that's not, it doesn't show equality, it shows their subservience to that family. It's kind of like being their vassal.
Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Imu is connected to the Nefertari family. What you said is true. One of the families could have just pulled their sword out, and that's why there is 19 swords. Interesting. But the mention of Queen Lily, though, the fact that Imu was looking at the picture during the reverie as well. She was staring at Vivi's picture. She had a couple of pictures. She had Vivi's, Luffy's, Blackbeard's, I think. But Vivi's was the one that she, singled out. So there is a reason for this.
She could be that queen, to be fair, too. She just never returned because she became the supreme leader. And we know that with lost fruits I think, and, the immortal surgery, it's totally possible she's still alive to this day.
it's difficult to say. Like the thing about the whole Queen Lily possibly being emu thing, we have a close-up image of her, but it's all silhouetted like Oda loves to do. But the eyes aren't, they're white, so we're not. Maybe they're the same eyes that like Emu and Mihawk have, maybe not. We don't know. But the only thing we do see about her, even later on in the chapter, is that she seems very short. That's the thing that stands out to me.
I mean, we know that One Piece characters come all in all shapes and sizes, right? So
Yeah.
I don't.
It makes me think of Sugar. It makes me think of Sugar. Her devil fruit. If I remember, I don't remember. It's called the Hobi fruit. It allows her to turn people to toys, but it also like stops her aging process. So maybe this is a similar fruit, or a fruit that has a similar side effect at least.
Eternal
Maybe
youth?
it doesn't have.
The Eternal
Yeah,
Youth
maybe
fruit.
it's possible. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I think that if they have a devil fruit, it's gonna be like one of those like Luffy in
Mythical.
a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Mythical. Yeah.
God mode, like that's what I'm expecting. that could explain that could explain the eyes too. Like
Yeah.
your eyes can change based on what fruit you ate, right?
I think Luffy has similar eyes to that in Gear 5 as well. Not sure about that, but I think so. But yeah, I mean it could be like a mythical water god fruit, But having, the leader of this crazy world like One Piece being a child manipulating the strings, like it's all a game, kind of sounds like Oda to me. Like it kind of fits his style,
I mean, totally possible.
Afterwards, we just see what's happening with Shirahoshi and Kuma and everything. We see what you were talking about last chapter as well.
I mean, yes, I did mention last chapter that he was making such a focus on it would create something, and that will have consequences in the world that we don't know yet about what happened.
Yeah, the only thing we saw was in that chapter with Akainu, where he mentions the Holy Knights, that there was an attempted murder on St. Charlos. So he's not dead. But there are going to be repercussions because those God Knights, Holy Knights are getting involved because of this incident. So, I mean, there is that to talk about as well.
I mean, we'll know more in about 2 weeks since there's a break next week, unfortunately. I know, it's always a disappointment, but we know Oda needs to rest.
Yeah. And he always brings out more bangers after a rest anyways.
Exactly.
No, but like, also Leo, man. Leo, he looked just really cool.
I mean, he is part of the Straw Hat fleet.
I hate the Tontatas me, so just seeing him being cool is kind of nice. I like it.
Well, if you have anything else you wanted to add, guys, don't hesitate to put it in the comments and tell us more about what you thought about this chapter. And we'll see you with a new chapter of One Piece in 2 weeks.
See ya.